Hi, welcome to Creative Ops event in London 2022. It's been a great day so far, real buzz with lots of people at a face-to-face event for the first time, including myself. I'm Julie Marshall. I run my own consultancy, Join Up the Dots. What I do is help marketing agencies and services to really build on their marketing, sales and content to grow their business, attract the right talent and retain that talent as well. Today I've got Craigh Lewis from Fender with me, and we're going to chat a little bit more about the session we had earlier. Craigh, perhaps you might want to talk a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so as creative lead at Fender for EMEA, I work across campaign, content, driving ideation. I'm working across social, global content pieces, essentially ensuring that our messaging is on point, that we're working with the right partners, that we've got the right degree of authenticity, and you know, the quality assurance is consistent across everything that we put out.
Wow, so got to keep your eye on a lot of things there.
Lots of spinning plates, yes.
Spinning plates.
Thankfully.
Anyway, as I said, I saw you up on stage, and one of the things I think we'd all agree the last 2 years is businesses really have had to focus on give a real direction, especially to their team during these times. So from a Fender point of view, what kind of principles do you guys work to?
Fender Principles, I mean, one of the founding principles of Fender as a whole is about really recognizing the importance of artists, and that can be your bedroom artist, or it can be someone rocking stadiums across the world. But the importance of the artist, and from our brand perspective, artists are angels essentially, and you know, it's our job to give them wings. You know, and that obviously being an analogy for our amazing instruments, and that kind of gets distilled through every element of the business. So, you know, from a creative and content perspective, we view the people that we support and champion and that we collaborate with, you know, with the highest of importance, you know, because what they do with our instruments, how they interpret reality, how they bounce around within culture, how they merge different genres, you know, these are real creatives, and what they do and how they do it and how it's seen and how it's platformed and presented ultimately makes us look really good all of the time. So it's really important for us that we keep those relationships flowing and open and honest, and we give our creatives, artists, the influencers that we work with, anyone who we collaborate with, we ensure that, you know, they're prioritized essentially.
Yeah, and I imagine that was a massive role for you guys, considering artists and how they were affected by COVID. Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, how did that work from you guys' point of view? Did you kind of help them and support them during that time?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I know that there were a lot of acts that were impacted by not being able to gig. You know, touring took a nosedive, of course. So touching base with them, a lot of the bands and artists that we have relationships with are long-standing, you know, you're talking decades. So the relationship isn't as much of, you know, we are the Fender brand and you are said act. It is about you as a person. Not only are we a fan of what you do, but we actually have built a genuine relationship, and you know, we check in with them. You know, we make sure that anything we can do in supporting them, in any small gigs that they're doing, you know, making sure that their setup is okay. And then when things have started to open up, ensuring that our processes are as you know, as clean as they can be, so there's no faff, and they can just focus on what they need to be doing, and we can focus on capturing it. I think that's been really important in the way that we support artists over this period.
Yeah, it sounds like it really is a really important role. So yeah, as I said, I was lucky enough to be in the audience for your panel discussion, and I just want to know what you thought the takeouts were, because there was quite a lot of diverse conversation about different topics. So anything you'd like to kind of let everybody know what you thought the big takeaways were?
It's kind of hard to distill. There's a lot of conversations that were happening. I definitely appreciated being on stage with people with really varied backgrounds. But all respectively really accomplished. It was interesting to hear from Brett what was going on at Twitch, and how how much effort they put into motivating their teams and unlocking creativity, syncing up with various elements of the business and making sure that they're, I think the term he used was manufactured fun, but ultimately downtime that you could be together with your team without it being specifically work focused. I think that's quite huge in unlocking creativity within your teams. Jessica also made some huge points about hybridized ways of working and automating creative. There were some really strong topics that were touched on. Probably too much for me to to summarize here.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I would genuinely say that in as much as I was able to offer my humble perspective in that conversation, it was great to be able to absorb the learnings from other people's journeys as well.
Yeah. Well, actually, I thought what you said about bringing people on their journey and the fact that just being at home wasn't allowing people to maybe shadow, other people or change roles and stuff. And I think you were talking about that, and a real focus needs to be on that. So that was something like, would you agree?
Yeah.
I suppose you said it, didn't you, Craig? So of course you're going to agree.
Yes, it's definitely my point of view. Yeah. So, the restrictions of people working from home and not having that FaceTime with people and not being able to rub shoulders with people that are doing things that they're interested in doing. I wouldn't be here at this stage of my career if I didn't blur the lines of the previous roles that I had because of pure curiosity, purely, oh, that looks really cool, what are they doing? And having the confidence and, being on the front foot in sparking conversations, in fishing for opportunities, shadowing people. I've managed to get myself into some pretty remarkable positions as a result of just that, as an idea. So when you take away the physical workspace and you therefore reduce people's ability to have that rapport building opportunity and delve into these conversations with people, I imagine it would have an impact on people's personal developments within their roles. So being cognizant of that and then preparing and strategizing around creating that space in opening that dialogue, I think needs to be key for business in general, and it's certainly something that we look at Fender. Yeah.
I think building on that point, you made also a really good point about bringing in other people, other functions, other silos. I think it was a discussion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit scary when you said bring the finance people into a creative meeting, but I can see that you're saying, because it's all about problem solving. So I thought that was another really good point that you made, actually using the resource, because everyone's got a possible, opportunity to contribute, haven't they? So.
Certainly. I think there's a fair bit of glamour around creative. I think that people think it's, and it is glamorous to an extent, but there's also there's a lot of function that drives what we do, and I think that sometimes that's lost on people. Usually when you're interacting with other teams in delivering a project, this is where it becomes really apparent that no one really knows what you do, because there is instances where people might not understand how to brief a creative team properly, or they don't understand the turnaround and timings. So, being really transparent about that, I think is key in general. But when it comes to idea generation, when you kind of break down these silo walls and say, well, actually, this isn't Disneyland, we're working in the same way you're working, just on different things. Why don't you come over? Let's talk about some ideas. Actually, you might have a perspective that we haven't considered, and actually that's really valuable. When you start to have those conversations and it breaks down these silo walls and it empowers the people that you work adjacent to, the only thing that happens is more ideas come to the table and walls start to be broken and relations start to become stronger. So that's been my experience.
Brilliant. I totally agree. I suppose the last thing is, thinking about going forward, there was a lot of positivity on the stage about, how everyone's feeling the whole, well, firstly, creative ops has actually probably moved further up and maybe sitting higher at the table now within the business. But what do you think are going to be the positives and the challenges for creatives going forward?
I think from a Fender perspective, the importance of content is becoming increasingly more impactful. So as physical spaces are not being as utilized as they were, we had conversations on the panel about the metaverse. It's a wild new future, but what is clear is that content and how brands are able to represent their views, their positioning, what's important to them, what's important to their communities, how they're able to platform that through content is going to become more and more important. So, as I said, from a Fender perspective, there's been a lot of investment in that,
right?
In the talent, in the systems that we use, in the agencies that we partner with. There's been a lot funneled in that direction because, from a business perspective, there is this understanding that in the future and right now, it is going to increase in importance. So.
Yeah, so exciting times.
Definitely,
I think
yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Craig, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for your
No
time
problem.
on stage. It was great to watch.
Thank you.
And thanks for the event, actually, because I've thoroughly enjoyed the day and being able to connect with people. I don't know about yourself.
Certainly, yeah. It's been nice to see humans.
I see humans, and I think felt very safe as well. So
Yes.
that was great.
Yeah,
Okay,
awesome.
thanks so much.
No worries.
Thank you.